Robert Plank Show, episode 182, Strategic Social Media Marketing and Paid Traffic with Corinna, Essa.
Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show, where we talk about making money and building an online business. We're talking today with Corinna, Essa, and she's known internationally as the go-to person when it comes to social media marketing. And she owns a social media marketing company helping businesses around the world leverage the power of social media without doing any of the legwork. So Corinna, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I am glad that you're here. So, as far as this social media marketing stuff goes, like marketing on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and all these different things, I mean, what sets you apart from other people teaching social media and doing social media?
I think that what I teach can be a bit different because a lot of people, a lot of marketers will teach that you really need to push things out there, and they don't really teach social media as a two-way street where really you build rapport first, you provide value first before trying to sell anything. So, for example, they will teach Facebook advertising, and instead of telling people that they should advertise content at first, they say, well, advertise your sales page, advertise your products, which used to work before it became saturated and everyone started to do that. When everyone starts to do the same thing, it stops working. So what I teach people to do is first, when you're on social media, whether you're going to leverage free traffic on social media or pay traffic through advertising, don't sell anything. Just provide really good value, and then you sell. You sell people who have pre-qualified themselves, either because they've clicked on your links or because they've engaged with your content. And I think that that's really what sets me apart. I have another approach to social media marketing.
Okay, and so along those lines, when you're saying to provide value first and then sell later, I mean, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean like post a bunch of regular content for a certain number of weeks, or are we saying that post four free things and then one link to things, or like what are your thoughts as far as like the balance or the ratio between the free content and the paid stuff?
Well, if you're going to leverage social networks for free, so you're not going to do any paid advertising, then I'd say, well, 80% just really good content and 20% promoting something. So 80% really adding value to people's lives, to your followers' lives, and then maybe 20% of the time asking for an opt-in or asking for the sale, then that's fine. If you're going to leverage paid traffic from social networks, then I would say advertise blog posts, advertise videos that don't have an opt-in form that people need to fill. Don't advertise a blog post that has tons of links to products and to buy things. So that's the way that you can really nurture relationship on social media, and you'll get better results, because people usually abandon social media marketing because they push their products, they push their stuff, and then they don't get anything, obviously, because they never spend time nurturing the relationship with fans and followers, and they never spend time turning cold traffic into warm traffic, and then they abandon their efforts, and they come to the conclusion that social media marketing doesn't work.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. And so if someone is hearing about all this and they're saying, okay, well, I need to give away some stuff for free, or I have to run these paid ads to things that are not like, I have to run a paid ad to a blog post or to a video without any kind of opt-in. What do you say if someone says, well, then in that case, what's the point? Why am I paying for ads for things where I'm not necessarily trying to get a conversion out of that?
I missed the question there because it cut out, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'll ask it again. So, what do you say if someone here's what you're telling them about? I have to run these paid ads to a web page with no opt-in, with no asking for a sale. What if someone says, "Well, what's the point then?"
Okay, well, basically what you're doing is you're nurturing the traffic, you're turning cold traffic into warm traffic. So it's really hard to get a sale from cold traffic. So how you do it is you basically promote your things to people who have never heard from you before, who don't know you, like you, or trust you, because it's cold traffic. So you just advertise to random people through ads, but then you're pre-qualifying them. So then with retargeting, then you can promote again to them, and they will know you by then, and they would have pre-qualified themselves, because they would have been, there are people who already expressed an interest in what you were advertising initially, because they've clicked on your links. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. So what you're saying is that, so let's say that if I saw an ad on Facebook, and I might click on it, and I might see something interesting, or I might see a video, or I might see a blog post, and then as a regular user of Facebook, that might be all I see. But then maybe next week, then I see an ad that's meant to get me to click and buy or sign up for something, and that is a retargeted ad that I'm now seeing because I clicked on that initial ad. So there's almost like two phases in here. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's when not only will your ads become cheaper, because they will start becoming more relevant, they'll become more cheap, and you're most likely to increase your conversions, because the first time someone had a positive experience with your ad, you added value to them. You didn't try to sell them anything, so they had a positive experience. So the second time round, they're more likely to buy from you, or more likely to convert into a lead, for example, depending on what your call to action is. So not only will your ad be cheaper, but also your conversions will be higher. And so it can be a two-step process. I know that some people make the whole thing 7 steps. So they add content, they provide content for free 7 times in a row before trying to sell anything. So you can do that. You can really extend the sales funnel. Or some people do it after the second time. So through retargeting, they start selling the second time round.
And I like that strategy. And I like that thought process in there because up until you explained it in this way, I always saw retargeting as kind of like an afterthought, right? Or kind of a thing that's tacked on to what your regular advertising is. But this is making a lot of sense, especially because, I've heard in the past, as far as with email marketing or product launches, people saying, well, if you have a list of 10,000 email opt-ins, if you're doing some kind of a launch sequence to send those people into a new sign up form, so people are like signing up for this smaller list, and then once you have that smaller sub list, say like of 1,000 people, then market your big promotion to that. And this is kind of like the Facebook equivalent of that, like where you might run a Facebook ad and you might run an ad that shows to 10,000 people, but if you just try to get those people off of Facebook, or you try to make money from that first initial ad, out of those 10,000 people, if you made a handful of sales, that's a really low conversion rate, as opposed to with this kind of two-step process. Now you run an ad to say that same group of 10,000 people, but then maybe only 100 people click on that ad within a couple of days. And now when it comes time for ad number 2, where it's time for someone to buy something, or it's time for someone to opt into something, if you're sending that ad to only those 100 people who clicked off of onto a website the first time around, now that's a huge conversion rate, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people forget the importance of warm traffic, and they don't take the time to turn cold traffic into warm traffic. Getting cold traffic is very easy. I mean, every social network almost now provides opportunities to advertise, and so getting clicks is easy, getting traffic is easy. But what's tricky is getting conversions. So people think, as soon as they're trying to sell something to cold traffic, it's just the platform that's to blame, and it doesn't work, when really it's not really the platform or the ad necessarily that's to blame. It's whether the traffic is warm or cold, and it's really impossible to make anyone buy who doesn't know you somehow, right? So for example, there's a lot of Facebook marketers out there who say, hey, I'm getting a 15% conversion, I'm doing this, and I'm getting these conversions. Then they sell courses because they think that they have the solution to conversions. But really, what they don't say to people who buy their courses is like, hey, you know what, I've spent $1 or $2 million with advertising to these people, and these people know me over the years, they know my stuff, they trust me, they like me, and that's where the conversions are coming from. And so I think that's really, really important to underline the importance of the difference, sorry, not the importance, the difference between cold traffic and warm traffic. Anyone can get 15% conversions or 20% conversions with people who already know them, like them, and trust them.
And what I'm hearing from what we've been talking about so far today is that so all of these a lot of this advertising that people might have, in the past, they might have been a little bit discouraged, or they might have thought that they were throwing money away. What they're really doing is converting this cold traffic into warm traffic, and there might be a little bit more of a build up with this than people are used to in the past.
Exactly. Because what happens is when everyone starts doing the same thing, then it stops working. Marketers destroy everything because they overdo things, and then it stops working for everyone else who jumped on it a bit too late. But it still works. You just need to add a few steps. You just need to go full circle, and that's what people don't do, because of course it's more work and more advertising spend, because you have to spend money at first to turn that cold traffic into warm traffic, and it's money you won't see a return on investment straight away, so it can be quite discouraging. We spend about $1,000 for every ad to cold traffic without expecting anything in return, because we know that, hey, these people don't know us, don't like us, don't trust us. We can't possibly expect them to do anything. So you won't get a return on investment straight away, but you do over time.
And that makes sense. And so, can you kind of walk us through some sort of a case study with this, where you took over someone's social media posting, or maybe this was even your own, but where you went on social media and you posted some content, you posted some ads, and could you just kind of walk us through like some of these things that you've set up?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote a blog post that was titled "How to Put Together a Social Media Strategic Plan," and really what I wanted was to drive traffic to my webinar that was called "How to Put Together a Social Media Strategic Plan," and at the end of the webinar, I would sell my service, my done for you service. So I put together a blog post that was titled just like the webinar, so I knew that whoever would click on the ad to the blog post would really be interested in the webinar because it had the same title. And then within the blog post was quite a long, detailed explanation of how to put together a social media strategic plan. And within the blog post, I sent people to register to the webinar, to a free webinar. So again, I wasn't selling anything. So just to recap, I sent traffic to a blog post using Facebook ads. Within the blog post, there were ads to register for the webinar. So the people who clicked on the ad, then I knew that they would be interested in that topic. But those who clicked but didn't register to the webinar, then I would retarget them with ads reminding them to secure their place to the webinar. And of course, getting that sort of traffic became much cheaper because these people had already pre-qualified themselves as people who were interested in that topic. So it was so much easier the second time round to get webinar registrations.
So cool. So just to make sure that I have your thought process right. So you had a webinar about how to have a strategic social marketing plan coming up, and you made a blog post about it, sort of educating people a little bit ahead of time, and then you made a Facebook ad going to the blog post. And one thing that I've heard you mention in the last few minutes is that you're fine with spending $1,000 just to see how that initial ad performs. So you sent a lot of traffic there, retargeted them with the cookie, and then you were able to create ad set number 2 for people who clicked on the ad, went to the website, but did not register for the webinar, and that way you could just keep on targeting those people and just getting more and more signups that way. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the webinar really summarized what I was going to share on the webinar, but a lot of people usually, once they've consumed content, they usually want more information, which is great for us. So it just although it was detailed, it only scratched the surface compared to the webinar, because the webinar was much more detailed with demos and case studies, which the blog post didn't have. So the webinar really was the missing piece of the puzzle. So that's really why people who would go onto the blog post, read the blog post, would be enticed to register for that webinar.
Okay, so what you're saying is, so the blog post, it had good information, but it was not as detailed. It was not as technical or step by step as the webinar itself. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the blog post was about 750 words, and the webinar was a 60-minute webinar, so much more detailed. It was almost like a step-by-step tutorial. The webinar was, whereas the blog post was pretty much an introduction to social media strategic planning.
Okay, and then so you ran this webinar, and so I mean, how long of a webinar are we talking, and what platform was that on?
So we run webinars on GoToWebinar, which is a platform that for just $100 a month, that's how much we pay, allows you to have 100 people on a live webinar. And you also get to record the webinar for those the people who registered but couldn't attend. You can send them the recording, and so GoToWebinar really has been the backbone of our business, because 80% of the sales we make for our company come from webinars, and our webinars convert from 10% to 15%. So we know that for every 10 people that register to the webinar, one person turns into a sale. So we know these numbers. So really, webinars, social media marketing, and webinars have really been the backbone of our business, and that's why our social media agency is the fastest growing social media agency in Australia, because we use the power of webinars for conversions, but also the power of social media for traffic.
Awesome. So you have both sides of that, and so you ran this webinar on GoToWebinar, and where you converted about 10 to 15%, and you recorded it. And are we talking about like a 60-minute or a 90-minute or a 2 hour presentation, or how long were you showing all this stuff?
Well, for my price point, which is $300 a month, the webinar doesn't have to exceed 60 minutes. 60 minutes is plenty to convert sales um, after 60 minutes. For such a price point, of course, if you're selling a $10,000 product, you might need a 90-minute webinar. So usually I run 60 minutes of content, and I have um, including the pitch. So the pitch takes about 10 minutes. So to be fair, it's 50 minutes of content, and 10 minutes I pitch the service, and then I have a 10-minute Q&A, and usually Q&As are to answer sales objections most of the time, or some people just need me to clarify some things that I teach during the webinar. And so about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes approximately, to answer your question.
Cool. And then, all right, so about 50 minutes or so of content, 10 minutes of pitch, 10 minutes of Q&A, and then so then what service is this specifically? This $300 a month thing that you're offering?
Yeah, so we have a social media agency. I say we because I've borrowed a few brains to build that company. So the social media agency basically helps small businesses leverage the power of social media without having to do it themselves. So in a nutshell, it's for businesses who want to have a quality social media presence, want to generate traffic and leads from social media, but either don't have time to do it themselves if they're a solopreneur or a small business, or don't have anyone in-house, or can't afford to have anyone in-house do it for them. So basically, we take over the social media and we do it for them. So we become their voice on social media. We pretend to be them on social media, and we do that daily, Monday to Friday. And business owners who sign up to our services usually get to pick between Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So they've got 6 platforms to choose from for us to manage for them.
Cool. So this is a service where you will log into their social media accounts, and you'll generate content for them, and you'll post all this, or like, I mean, what exactly do people get when they use this service?
Well, they do. We do all the posting for them Monday to Friday, twice a day. So we do all the content creation on their behalf. We do all the graphic design. So every post basically is illustrated, and we create images. So we source images, and we customize images for them. We also optimize their social media. So if we need to redo the about section, if we need to redo the banners, anything that needs to be redone and optimized, we do for them. We also put together the strategic plan for them. So before we do anything, we put together a strategic plan for businesses. They get to see it, and then once they're happy with it, we just execute it. We also do paid advertising for those who have a budget for paid advertising. So we do the ads, run the ads, manage the ads, and we also do audience building. So that's one thing that a lot of businesses come to us for, because they want their message about their company and their brand to reach more people, but they just don't know how to do it. So we aggressively build their audience for them, either organically or through paid advertising.
Awesome. So I like this whole process that you have for yourself, where it. I mean, if you're the one providing a done for you kind of social media service, it makes sense that you would also know how to convert it. Yeah, how you would know how to fill up that sort of service from traffic from social media. And so what you do is make an ad on Facebook about how to be strategic and how to post these on social media. So that ad brings people to a blog post that kind of opens their eyes to a few possibilities. They then get cookied or retargeted, and then you run another ad for a webinar you have coming up on GoToWebinar, and you explain these things, and then you sell your package about where you will log into people's social media, and you'll update for them, and you'll run ads if they want to do part of that, or build the audience, or clean up the about page, or create graphics, or do whatever it takes to generate that content. And so that's a cool step-by-step process that you lead people from, where if they're kind of looking into the social media stuff, now you bring them all the way through to the solution, which is that you will then handle their social media for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the process. You've just described my funnel better than I have.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's a simple funnel, but it's also pretty powerful as far as the couple of pieces that you have in there. And so, if someone is looking to jump on this offer, if they say, that all this sounds like me, all these things that Corinna can do sound really awesome, but I'd rather that she does it, because she and her team are the experts, and why am I gonna do what the guess and check, the trial and error? I'd rather have Corinna do it. So where can people go to find out about this offer and to take you up on your offer?
So my website, socialmediaworldwide.com, for those who are interested in signing up to the service, or for people who want to find out more about social media marketing in general, or think of doing it themselves. We've got a lot of training available on our blog, so socialmediaworldwide.com/blog. There's basically all the training, that we've put together, everything that we know about social media, with case studies and tutorials, step-by-step tutorials. So that's on the blog, socialmediaworldwide.com/blog. There's also our YouTube channel with video tutorials on social media marketing, covering Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. That's youtube.com/socialmediaworldwide.
Awesome. So youtube.com/social media worldwide, socialmediaworldwide.com/blog, and socialmediaworldwide.com to get that done for you social media offer. So, I mean, lots of good stuff today, Corinna, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming by and sharing what you have to share. So thanks so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
This is Robert Plank. And would you like to be a guest on the program? Do you have an idea for a future episode, or do you just want to tell us how we're doing? Get in touch with us right now at robertplank.com/ask to let us know.